We think we control our thoughts, but our thoughts are actually being controlled by our nervous system state. The frequency your nervous system broadcasts determines which thoughts you can access from the quantum fields. When your nervous system feels safe and regulated, you can think clearly, your creative ideas flow easily, you see solutions rather than problems. But when your nervous system detects threat, it shuts down your prefrontal cortex. And this is the part of the brain that is responsible for that higher thinking. You literally become incapable of accessing positive creative thoughts. Your brain is not generating thoughts, it's actually receiving them. So think of consciousness like radio waves. There are thousands of different frequencies broadcasting simultaneously, but you can only tune into one station at a time. Now, your nervous system is the dial that determines which mental station you're locked onto. When you are stressed, your nervous system tunes into that maybe a worry station. When you're calm, you access the inspiration station. When you are in survival mode, you're stuck on the fear channel or scarcity channel. These aren't choices that you are consciously making. They're actually automatic responses based on your nervous system's current frequency. This is why trying to think your way out of negative thinking doesn't work. You're attempting to change the station while your nervous system dial is stuck. So no matter how hard you try to think positive thoughts, your system keeps pulling you back to the frequency that matches your internal state. Your nervous system's frequency gets programmed by your life experiences. So every trauma creates an interference in your signal. Every limiting belief gets stored as cellular memory. Every emotional wound becomes a filter that blocks certain thought frequencies while amplifying others. If you grew up with constant criticism, your nervous system learned to tune into self-critical thoughts as a survival mechanism. If you experience betrayal, your system learned to access suspicious, maybe guarded thoughts to protect you. These patterns become so automatic that you start to believe that this is just who I am. But here is the breakthrough. Thoughts exist independently in the field of consciousness. You're not creating them. You're actually selecting which ones you can perceive based on your nervous system's current state. So change your nervous system states and completely different thoughts become available to you. Now, from a quantum perspective, consciousness is a field containing every possible thought that could ever exist. Your nervous system acts as a biological antenna that determines which thoughts you can tune into. When your antenna is clear and coherent, you access wisdom, creativity, insight. When it's distorted by stored trauma, you can only receive confused, fearful, or limited thinking. This explains why breathwork is so powerful for changing thought patterns. This practice doesn't force different thoughts. It actually clears the interference in your nervous system so you can actually access higher frequencies of consciousness. So in NeuroSomatic Breathwork, we release the stored cellular memories in the body that interfere with how your mind thinks and perceives. And these breathing patterns that we use actually discharge the stored emotional patterns that keep your nervous system tuned to lower frequency thoughts. So during a breathwork session, as you release stored cellular patterns, your nervous system's frequency begins shifting. Thoughts that were not accessible start to become available. So people will often say that they have insights, realizations that they never could have accessed in their normal state. I worked with a client I worked with many clients like this, but I worked with a specific client that was trapped in this constant negative thinking. His mind was in a constant loop of, I'm gonna fail, nothing ever works out for me. During breath work, he was able to release the cellular memory from his childhood where nothing he did was ever good enough for his father, who he considered as a perfectionist. As that pattern cleared from his nervous system, his thoughts completely shifted. Instead of constantly anticipating failure, he started thinking about more of the possibilities and solutions. His nervous system had tuned into an entirely different mental frequency. So within weeks, his business started to thrive because he was finally able to access those creative, confident thoughts that he needed for his success. The key thing to understand is that there is nothing wrong with you for having constant negative thoughts. Your nervous system is just tuned to a frequency where those thoughts exist. You do not need to fight your thoughts. You need to change your nervous system tuning so different thoughts become naturally available to you. Your nervous system is constantly selecting which thoughts to deliver to your conscious awareness from that quantum field. When you clear the cellular interference through breath work, you automatically gain access to higher quality thoughts, insights, and more of those creative solutions. This is why my 6-week nervous system reset program is so effective. We systematically clear the stored patterns that keep your nervous system tuned to limiting thought frequencies. As your system recalibrates, you naturally start thinking thoughts that support your growth instead of sabotage it. Each week, we actually target different layers of cellular interference while training your nervous system to maintain higher frequency states. So if you are interested in this work and you want to join, message me or check the link below.